Yo, what's up gamers? So I walked into the break room on a late shift, just trying to grab a quick breather, and someone had left the console on, just sitting there, paused on the crew. No menu movement, no sound, just frozen like it was waiting on somebody to come back and finish the race. So I grabbed the controller, try to move it, try to wake it up, and the second I press a button, an error message pops up. Cannot connect to servers. Now I'm standing here in a quiet break room pressing buttons like I can negotiate with it, and nothing. It wouldn't load. It's not frozen, it's not broken, it's just gone. And that's when it hits me. This game is still installed, still taking up space, still looks completely fine, but nobody can actually play it anymore. How does that even work? How does a full game just stop working? Because this is the Janitor's Files, where I dig through the mess the gaming industry left behind. The shutdowns, the controversies, the stories nobody cleaned up, so I do. And this is episode 7. So if you've ever bought a game thinking it was yours, hit like, subscribe, and stick around, because this one changes how you look at everything in your library. So let's grab a mop, because this starts way before the shutdown. The Crew launched December 2nd, 2014, and it wasn't trying to be a racing game, it was trying to be a world. A scaled-down United States where you could drive coast to coast without loading screens, including cities, highways, deserts, mountains, all stitched together into one continuous maps. It wasn't about races, it was about the journey between them. And layer on top of that, a full story. You're an undercover driver infiltrating a street racing network, climbing ranks across different regions, unlocking cars, upgrades, and abilities like his part racing game, part RPG system. And the real hook was how connected everything felt. Other players could appear in your world at any moment. You could form crews, tackle missions together, or just cruise across the country like it was one shared road trip. Single player and multiplayer wasn't separate, they were blended. And that's where the problem was baked in, because none of it works without the servers. Not multiplayer, not progression, not even the story. Everything depended on a live connection. So this wasn't just a racing game, it was a racing game running through a system you didn't control. That's not just a game, that's a game with a leash, and eventually, that leash gets pulled. This wasn't a mistake, it was intentional. Ubisoft wanted a persistent world, something that was alive, something shared, something always running. A game where players weren't separated by menus, but existed in the same space at the same time. They were chasing that early live service version before it even had a name, and keeping it always online gave them control over progression, over updates, over the entire ecosystem. It also meant no piracy, no offline copies, no version of the game existing outside of their system. Development for this game started around 2007, and it took 7 years of building something that had never really been done at that scale before. The goal again wasn't just a racing game, it was a connected world. But when your game depends on online servers, you don't actually own the Switch, which means they didn't just build a game, they built something that needed permission to run. And for a while, it kinda worked. But that's what makes this whole situation hit harder, because the Crew didn't fail. It shipped over 2 million copies by early 2015, which means it sold a whole lot of copies, built a loyal player base, and stayed alive through constant updates. Major expansions like Wild Run expanded the experience with new vehicles and events, while Calling All Units added police chases, turning the world into something even more dynamic. This wasn't a forgotten game, it was maintained for nearly 10 years. Servers were running, systems were updated, players logging in every day, which means this wasn't neglect, this was a deliberate decision later on. So after years of being online, on December 14th, 2023, that's when the Crew gets pulled from the stores. There was no big announcement, no dramatic ending, it just disappeared. Officially, they announced that there was licensing issues, expired agreements, and the cost of maintaining the servers were high. And that all makes sense on paper, but here's what it really meant in reality. No new players could buy the game, but existing players, they could still play for now. So the world was still running, but it was sealed off to new drivers, so no new copies, just a shrinking group inside a game that was no longer being sold. They didn't shut it down yet, they just closed the doors. And once that happens, the clock started ticking. And that's when, on March 31st, 2024, Ubisoft servers go offline. And because everything depended on them, everything disappeared. That means no single player, no free roam, no missions, no progression, nothing. Even if you owned it, even if you installed it, Even if you wanted to drive home, even if you paid for all the DLCs and all the cosmetics, the game had nothing left to connect to. So it didn't break, it didn't glitch, it just stopped existing, just like the money that you had spent. Because after the shutdown, it got worse. For a lot of players, they couldn't log in anymore. And for some, the game disappeared completely from the libraries, marked inaccessible, like it was never there. Now this isn't about access anymore, this is about ownership. Because people didn't just lose the ability to play, some felt like they lost something they paid for. Refunds only went out to recent buyers. Longtime players got nothing. And that's when it stopped feeling like a shutdown and started feeling like something being taken back. I've thrown out old supplies before, never seen something get taken out of somebody's house just like this. By November 2024, this turned into a lawsuit. Claims of misleading marketing, false ownership expectations, and consumer law violations. Because if you sell something like a product, people assume they own it. Ubisofts Response, you didn't buy the game, you bought a license. And from their perspective, the game worked for nearly 10 years. It delivered what it promised, case closed for them. But that answer changed everything, because nobody buys a game thinking it has an expiration date. They sold you access and called it ownership. And this is where it goes beyond the crew. This sparked bigger conversations like game preservation, ownership rights, and movements like Stop Killing Games. Because if one game can disappear like this, how many others are built the same way and disappear the same exact way? That's when players started demanding something simple, an offline mode, a backup, anything, and Ubisoft responded, but they can no longer fix the past. They adjusted the future, adding offline support to newer games like The Crew 2 and Motorfest. So they didn't fix the old game, they made sure the next one wouldn't die the same way just for us, and so they wouldn't get another lawsuit. And this is where things shift from people being frustrated to people actually organizing. Because Stop Killing Games didn't start as some big official movement, it started with a group of players. People who were tired of seeing games they paid for it to just disappear. Forums, Reddit threads, small communities were all asking the same question: why is this allowed to happen? But it didn't really break out until someone gave it a voice. That's where Ross Scott comes in. He didn't start the idea, but he elevated it with his YouTube channel, Accursed Farms. He took something people were already talking about and turned it into a focus campaign with videos, call to actions, petitions. He gave the whole thing direction and momentum right after the crew shut down. And once that happened, it spread. More creators started talking about it. Bigger audiences started paying attention. Names like Moist Critical, Pirate Software, Asmongold, they all helped push the conversation further into the mainstream. But that side of it, that's a whole different rabbit hole. Because this isn't about creator drama, this is about what they were all pointing to. At its core, Stop Killing Games is pushing for one simple idea. If a company stops supporting a game, they should leave behind a way to still play it. They should have offline mode, private servers, something. They don't have to keep the games alive forever, they just have to stop them from being erased completely after people purchase them. And this isn't just talking anymore, the movement has gained serious traction. There's large-scale petitions, especially in Europe, pushing into legal discussion, government-level attention and ongoing reviews, organized groups now tracking shutdowns and pushing for long-term changes. And at the same time, the industry is pushing back, arguing that preserving every game could be expensive, complicated, and tied up in licensing issues. So now, we've got both sides watching this closely, because if this turns into law, it could change how games are built going forward. And this is the reality, you don't always own what you buy. When a game depends on servers, those servers decide if it lives or dies. Not your console, not your disc, not your purchase. And that's what the crew proved. It didn't just shut down, it exposed the system, that what you're really potentially buying digitally is access, and access can be revoked. I've cleaned out a lot of rooms, but this might be the first time the room cleaned itself out. So that game I found in the break room, it's still sitting there, it's still installed, it still looks completely fine. But nobody can play it. So what do you think? Is this just how online games work now? Or should companies be required to leave something behind? If you made it this far, please do me a favor, hit like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments down below, because this one's not going away anytime soon. This is Scruffy the Janitor signing off. Peace out.